Good evening, everyone. We will start the session in few minutes, please.
Yes, Korik, thank you so much for joining. And I think we can give a few more minutes, maybe 2 minutes. We can start at 15 past, maybe 5 past 15, and then as more people are joining the session. I see Gurumoth is here, and Gurumoth, can you confirm if our speakers all have joined the session?
Yes, uh, yes, thank you. The speakers are already here. Yeah.
Oh, good, 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 good. Let's give a few more minutes. I see people are now joining the session. I see we do have 15. Let me. Yes, yeah, we can start. I see a few more people are saying they're joining. So as we are waiting for more people to join, maybe we could have a quick intro. Let me check if Alhaj, are you there? Yeah, I see safe.
Yeah.
Alhaj.
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, good, good. So thank you so much, and I'm so excited to host this session and actually to have everyone joining the session. Yeah, so maybe I could just speak little about me. Dr. Jabera Matogoro. The CEO and the founder for the Tanzania Community Network Polytechnic College. This is a registered polytechnic college under the National Vocational Education Training in Tanzania. And we are headquartered in Dodoma, Tanzania. And we have been offering a number of sessions on artificial intelligence, and this is among of such exciting session. And we are so excited to have everyone joining the session. And as we move forward, I will like to introduce our co-host, Gurumoth from Eduinx. But before that, let me welcome Alhaj Saif, who is the Director of Marketing Communications and Public Engagement, and the Tanzania Community Network Polytechnic College, and the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Multidisciplinary Solution in Africa. Alhaj, you can introduce yourself and also maybe introduce our team if we have members from our team who have joined before we take the mic to Gurumoth to introduce himself and his team, but more important, speakers of the session. Welcome, Alhaj.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matogoro. My name is Alhaj Saif, Director of Marketing, Communication, and Public Engagement at Tanzania Community Network Polytechnic College and at our Center of Artificial Intelligence and Multidisciplinary Solution in Africa. We are located in Dodoma, at Nzuguni B, Dodoma. We are providing a vocational training. As Dr. said, we registered and activate, and that's why we just provide a lot of training, such as online training and physical training. We're having almost more than 2 years right now. Apart from me, we're having our team here. We're having our CEO of Artificial Intelligence, Mr. Baraka Matinde, and also we're having our head of training, Mr. Port Fanamga, and also we're having our sister who is Antonia, head of public relation at our center at our college, Tanzania Community Network Polytechnic College. So even my side, I'm too excited to be in this training because we know that nowadays artificial intelligence is very important, especially to youth, because you can't do anything without including artificial intelligence. Having said this, I return back this mic to Dr. Matogoro. Maybe he can proceed.
Thank you so much. And Gurumoth, mic is now ready for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you all for this today's special session, Beyond the Degree, Building Future-Ready Employability in the Age of AI, which is organized by the Eduinx with TCNC. As we are already aware, like a kind of there is a rapid growth of artificial intelligence that is transforming not only the technology today, but also the way that every organization operates in the entire universe, and the skills employees value, and the career opportunities available to the students and working professionals. So, in this changing environment, just earning a degree is important, but it is no longer enough. Professionals must continuously build practical skills, understand emerging technologies, and solve real-world problems, and remain adaptable throughout their career. So I hope that today's session is designed to help us to understand from the renowned speakers, Mr. Charles Fleming, Mr. Fleming, Mr. Israel, and Ms. Miriam. So what future-ready employability truly means, and how individuals can prepare themselves to succeed in an AI-driven workplace. Thank you once again. Thank you all, and we look forward, having an interactive session throughout this event. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And maybe we could now invite the speakers, but I see Sanjeev is here. Maybe Sanjeev, if you can just say hi to us. You can just unmute and just say hi to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. I am also excited to be a part of this journey. I will say a few notes for a minute, with your permission. So, my name is Sanjeev Bindal. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. It is an honor to be welcome you all to this important conversation on building employability for the future work in age of AI. Gratitude to Tanzania Community Networks Polytechnic College, Center for AI and Multidisciplinary Solution, and ourselves, Eduinx. And also we are thankful to the speakers, Charles, Fleming, and moderator Miriam. Okay, we stand at a remarkable crossroad. Technology is advancing at a fast pace than ever before, reshaping industry, redefining skills, and reimagining what it means to be employable. Artificial intelligence is not just a tool, it is becoming a partner in how we think, create, and solve problems. But with this transformation comes responsibility. The future of work will not be about competing with machines, but about complementing them, cultivating adaptability, creativity, empathy, and lifelong learning. Our challenge is to ensure that the opportunities are inclusive, that workers are empowered, and the innovation serves humanity. As a co-host today at Eduinx, we are here not only to discuss strategy, but to inspire action. Let us explore how our education industry and policy can come together to prepare people, not just for jobs of today, but for the possibilities of tomorrow, way forward towards co-creating a shared future. I look forward to the rich dialogue ahead and to build together a future where employability means resilience, relevance, and readiness in the age of AI. In Kiswahili, I have come up with a logo, Pamoja Lengo Moja.
Thank you so much. Pamoja Lengo Moja. Good. Thank you so much, Sanjeev. And in Swahili, we do say penye wazee hapaharibiki jambo. Whenever there is an elder people, everything will be okay. We really appreciate for such a wonderful, remarkable keynotes and real opening the session. So back to you, Gurumoth, and the moderator in the sessions, and also the partner, the speakers, so that we can start our session officially. Thank you. Who is moderating the session anyway? Who is next? Who could be starting on the order of the speakers? Should we start, Miriam? Or...
Thank you very much, Doctor. And thank you very much, Mr. Sanjeev and Guru Murthy. It's a pleasure to moderate this brilliant panelists and also be a part of this meaningful session. So my name is Miriam Nkomalago, and I am the founder of AI Frontier Africa, which is a newsletter where I highlight issues and matters within policy frameworks in AI within the African space. So it is an honor to be here and to speak about this meaningful topic, because as we know, the Global South, we're still trying our best to catch up with this technology, and there is a lot of people who are intrigued and interested, but they don't know where to start and what needs to be done for them to step their foot inside this AI ecosystem. So I am looking forward to learn and to also have a wonderful discussion and a fruitful discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And who could be next on the facilitator side? Miriam, can you help us to identify the order?
Okay. So I would like to welcome Mr. Charles Anjah so that he could briefly introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm very much happy to join the conversation today, which I know fully well is not, the conversation is not against the degree, but it's about something we could sorry about that. It's about what we can do with the degree. So my name is Charles Anjah. I am a senior AI research engineer at the University of Sheffield in UK. I'm also a research engineer with the UKOMAIN, or call it UK multimodal AI network. So UKOMAIN, they are championing a benchmark framework that could help not just people within the UK, but globally to deploy their models safely and securely. What we aim at the UKOMAIN is to ensure that models are safe, models are more trustworthy, and also to improve to gain more trust from the human and who are the actual users of the AI systems we are building. I'm also the founder of Munchies. Munchies is just in a brief is an event driven platform that helps organizations to manage their events. We'll have a lot of events. We'll have things that happens around the event. So that's what Munchies is for. So just like I said, I believe strongly that we will have a very productive engagement in this meeting, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to not just build strong foundation, we'll also use AI to extend, not to replace our thinking in a way, and also to create evidence that that can solve real world problem like the other speaker Sanjan mentioned. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. And I would also like to welcome Mr. Fleming Usiomah.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to participate. I hope you can hear me. My name is Fleming Usiomah. I work as the founder and chief solutions developer of Acesys Solutions. We are focused on building technology solutions around real organizations and client needs. And that experience has taught me that the hardest part of AI is really producing an impressive demonstration. But the harder work is identifying, one, the right problem and preparing reliable data, integrating the solution into an existing process and earning the trust of the user as you go along. That is the perspective I will bring in today's discussion, how we can move beyond just the qualifications and familiarity to the AI tools towards deployment skills and responsible judgment, especially responsible judgment and evidence of value. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming Usiomah. And last but not least, lastly, I would want to welcome Mr. Israel Odeajo.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Israel Odeajo. I am from Nigeria, and I'm an AI engineer, and I work with Turing, and also I work as a researcher with GI13 concept, which is also based in Canada. I'm glad to bring a touch of engineering and also academics into this conversation because when I built with all of these organizations, one of the things we also try to do is to, make publications, across what we've been able to identify in our research and also present them in some of the, amazing big platform and conferences and of course newsletters that you can think of. So my role in the past almost 7 years has been to help machine learning models get better, also AI models also more improved, and of course, just like Charles mentioned the other time, the conversation is not really saying no to degrees because Many of us are also educated and also have these degrees. We're just trying to talk about what should be like the addition to what you're taking off, your institution, that should be like the main thing you're really focusing on. Apart from the degree I've gotten, what else am I adding or bringing, to the table? Again, so I'm so excited to be on this call with everyone.
Thank you very much, Israel, and thank you to all speakers. And it's a pleasure to have you all here. Just listening you briefly introducing yourself, it's already a good indication of where this conversation is going to head towards to. And before we proceed, I would like to just mention that we're going to kick off with the first set of questions, which are going to be general questions. So anyone can answer if they see it fit. And the first question is that as we are championing to build localized AI systems and governance frameworks, what do you think needs to be done in order to kickstart this progress in order for the Global South to prepare its current and future workforce to participate in this fourth industrial revolution?
All right, so I guess because that speaks a bit to what I do from the picture of modeling and also, one of the major things we're championing right now, which is availability of data. So this speaks to the big part of AI isn't just, coming to take our jobs, but possibly maybe AI is coming to like, speak its language right now, which most AI doesn't speak as, all right? I think the sovereignty of data or the way AI relates is also one of the key things that we are looking at right now. Like we all know that most, AI models are possibly trained on Western data, on Western assets, or say Western context. So that means that, well, we are consuming more of foreign AI. We become more like a digital renter rather than being a digital owner. So the real analogy of this, we say, for instance, someone who just bought, say, a luxury, sports car, when your city has, some unpaved or dirty roads, that kind of car really might not strive or do very well in that environment. Why? Because of the local infrastructure and local data. So that makes it a bit more, as it were, useless. I think one of the things that we are really starting as progress right now is what we call contextual data. That is, we have to collect clean and structured local data set. I remember this was one of the conversation I also championed in the just concluded data festival that was hosted in Nairobi in Kenya. And I think this is one of the sovereignty of data we're talking about. So yes, we know that AI has come to stay, but we want an AI that can, we can code switch, we can language switch, that can also speak our languages, including our regional languages, our local patterns, or our regional edge patterns, right? So government and institutions also must, in their own way, make high-speed internet available, because some of these things we need a lot of infrastructures and resources to make some of these things accessible, to corporate bodies, to schools, to students, and all you could think of, right? So, we need to also create what we call like a safety guidelines, whereby it's able to, do some user privacy, because security is also the core part of the fear people are having these days on the possibility of AI. So I think these are some of the things I believe we can also look at as we talk about localized AI system and governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Israel, for this insight. Is there anyone else that would want to chime in on this and add anything?
Yeah, I will start with one principle. When we talk about localized AI system, I would say that localization is not merely translating the interface of an imported system. What do I mean there is that if we want to build AI, we have to build AI, just like Israel spotted, around the local problems, the languages, the local data, the institutions, infrastructure, and accountability. has to be part of it. So the key to kickstart the progress for the global South, I think there are 5 things, some things that might be interconnected. Israel mentioned about the data having a foundation, a data foundation, the reliable connectivity, shared compute, and usable public interest data set that relates to the local context. And also, what I will want to speak about is more of the talent pipeline that links from school, the technical and vocational education and training systems we have, our universities, employers, including the public institutions. These should be there should be a talent pipeline where students that goes through this process, these levels, these institutions could get real knowledge that can translate into your employability, translate into your AI product or AI being an entrepreneur on AI development. Also, I might talked about a bit of the local problem research. We have what we seems to may not really have is the local problem research. Instead of exporting ideas, exporting our problem, we can invest in local problem research. Let the problem be local. Let the local talent look into the problem and try to develop solutions for it. So we will. What I would say is that we will only build. We will not build the capacity, local capacity, if for every talented person we train locally, we export the contract, export data sets, export research opportunity. That will not help the global South to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles Anjah. And as you spoke about the talent pipeline, that also kind of sets the motion to the next question, where we see there's a lot of initiatives on how to build skills in AI. And there's also a lot of information, or let's say programs in capacity building within the public sector. So what I wanted to know is, when there's a conversation about capacity building in the AI skills within the public sector, based on what you see, how much of the current conversation about this is actually matching the actual progress that is being made?
Okay, I will start by saying the conversation around capacity building is ahead of implementation in the real sense. But I cannot just say it's empty. I would take example in Tanzania, where we have the National AI Strategy Framework that was drafted in July last year. And there are other frameworks like the Digital Economic Strategy, the e-governance, government strategy, and other frameworks that have been drafted, thankfully for government effort around that. But we have to, when it comes to capacity building, is often still measured by workshops, attendance to events, certificates you've achieved, rather than operational capabilities. I think that the focus has to shift from all those. We measure capacity. How many? What capacity have we built? Should be measured around operational capabilities in different sectors, in public sector, in the private organization. So we have to move. They have to be that shift, and to really answered that aspect. They say we need to move from questions like how many people attended the AI training to like which public service became safer, maybe faster, or maybe more accessible, or something like that, or more accountable. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that progress is real. Progress is real, but is uneven. We have to step up the way we where we test capacity building, maybe by identifying real use cases in industry, in a public sector, and see how to prepare and govern. How do we prepare and govern data? Those are the things that we may pay more attention than rather than the other side of it. So that will actually help us to translate the policies and the frameworks we have on paper into actionable plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. And before I move on, is there anyone else that would want to add their perspective in this?
Yes, I think in all of this, we should not forget the heavy role government has to play. I'll use China as a case study. You would know the government is heavily invested in the technology of the country. And that is why they seem to be, but 2 decades back, they were almost nowhere. Now they are ahead of the curve. And that's because policies, laws were put in place to actually help their local content developers, the AI guys and all whatnot, to push their technology. They have access to loans, they have access to vertical integration when it comes to building their things. And this cannot be done in isolation without government. So government has a very, very key role to play in this capacity building.
Yeah, maybe I could also share experience on what the Center for Artificial Intelligence is doing. We have very ambitious targets of training of 100,000 African youth on AI literacy. But more important, it's not just about creating awareness. It's also about engaging African youth to create solutions that address challenges that face African community. You know, in most cases, I do say AI has been around, and when you trace the history of artificial intelligence, it goes around to 1950s. So it's not something that just happened today or few months or few years. But the only challenge that initial phases faced is AI remained within the academic context. People developed the AI model, simulated solutions, and then after their PhD or master's, everything stayed in the library or in the academic settings. Thanks to OpenAI with the ChatGPT, when in 2020, of course, started 2015 to 2020, when the ChatGPT were launched. Now it's where people started seeing that, okay, so AI can even understand our natural languages. And from there, you can now see a lot of use cases are coming up. So what we can do, of course, I appreciate that the government has a key role, but higher learning institutions and polytechnic colleges, we do also have a critical role to make sure that youth who are graduating from these universities have relevant skills and solutions that can address their challenges. It's very, very important. Creating awareness is one thing, but taking a bold step of creating a solution that could address the challenge is another thing. Of course, the uptake will also depend on the availability of policies and frameworks so that it can be scaled up to the larger scales. Because without scaling the solution, then it will also remain within a very limited context where few people will benefit from the solution. So I think I also concur with what other speakers mentioned, and taking on my personal experience, I see that governments, higher learning institutions and polytechnic colleges, but also community could also demand more where people could come up with a relevant solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And thank you very much for the speakers for leading to my next question. For most of you have said that operational capability is important. And Mr. Charles, you said that capacity building needs to be done ahead of implementation. So do you think that instead of championing for more regulatory frameworks, that capacity building should be, let's say, a lot more effort should be put into capacity building so that the frameworks can be more relatable?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you. Just like the last speaker spoke about the AI awareness, so we have to leave the AI awareness to AI capability in our systems. So so that has to cut across stages of education, whether from the primary down to the university or to the tertiary. It has to be embedded. And apart from that, just like he mentioned, the larger organizations, they have to recognize their place in the society and how to help this knowledge to be embedded in the in the society, and also see, not just embedded, and also see how this knowledge can be utilized. We have a lot of knowledge down there, but most of the times it's always being exported because of redundancy. That's why we experience a lot of that. So yes, government have tried, they are doing their best. Also, organizations and institutions have to come and play, have to have their own role to play, and they have to play their part so that the society can feel the effects of a developing society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would want to add on to that as well?
Yeah, just to add on top of the conversation now, just like we've said, the need for use case learning approach, whereby people are learning and also identifying, the major areas where those capabilities that they do have now, the skill set they have can be explored, all right, within the framework of either their city or their country or on a global scale. Because the beauty is that, of course, in my experience of also mentoring and training people, I think a lot of learners has this big, as the challenge. I've learned these and these and these. I've learned Python, I've learned R, I've done some analytical work. How do I really bring these into the real thing? And I think that's like what is most important. So we need to also have a system that is able to explore. And I think that is where we encourage more organization, more institution to, not downgrade the possibility of internships, entry role jobs, so that people who have learned some of these skills, of course, they want to also have a system where they can utilize what they have learned. And I think that's one of the key things that we need to push to a lot of learners who are on this call, because I know a lot of people have taken YouTube videos, taken courses, attended boot camps and all of that. So I think that's like one other layer that we need to embrace. And I think that also speaks to the role that government is playing at the moment. So also say that people who are skillful, what kind of system beyond those days where we say there are jobs in the bank, there are jobs. So what role also is government creating to enable people who have learned AI level of skills to also explore that within the government framework? I'll give an example. Here in Nigeria, We have a program we call 3MT Nigeria. So what we do basically, I am privileged to be one of the mentors. It's a further program. So when people learn skills, after a 3 to 4, 6 month training, they pick them into the next phase of a mentor who guides them to building a project within about 8 weeks. After that project presentation and finalizing, they pick some folks who are also pushed into the level of internship, right? Of course, some of them also get some entry jobs. And I think if government does that, it's going to be more credible and also be sure that at least they are going to platform for people to explore than putting people randomly to start looking for the job themselves, to start looking for the opportunity themselves. So I think that's also one leverage I also want to look at.
Thank you very much, Mr. Israel. And I also wanted to ask that in the conversations that are happening about the future of work and employability skills within the age of AI, what important issue or issues aren't getting enough attention but really need to be discussed or implemented?
Yeah, let me speak to that because I've noticed it as a trend. Now, for me, I think one of the biggest issues that is not being addressed properly is with entry-level jobs. Now, we have these AI systems that are automating entry-level jobs or things that normally, like in my organization, we have the guys that basically they do the grunt work, set up the framework, make sure that this can communicate with that. But now we have systems that can basically do that. So it's fine now because there are some of us that are experienced still within the system. So, but when AI now takes over all of these entry-level jobs, what pipeline do we have to train the guys that are coming out to actually enter into the organization? Because some 10, 15 years down the line, guys like me will resign and there will be a vacuum. Okay, the entry-level thing is done by the AI, but the intermediates, the knowledge needed for intermediate should have been gotten from the entry level, and that is no longer present. So I think conscious effort has to be made to, yes, AI is doing its thing, but also alongside training people to either use the AI or work with the AI so that we will not find ourselves some 10, 15 years down the line with a gap, not having people into the intermediate experience level because of AI handling most of the entry-level stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming. And that's a really big issue that is happening where a lot of the youth are leaving all of the work to AI, or some organizations are leaving the intermediate work to AI. And it's stopping people from getting the kind of skills they have to step foot into this ecosystem. And it might seem that it's speeding up the work process, that how we're saying that AI is here to help us make work easier for us. But down the line, it's apt to bring a lot more, to raise more problems, especially in terms of professionalism and having the appropriate workforce with the right amount of knowledge. And my next question is directed to Mr. Charles Anjah. AI is changing every 6 months. And for someone that is starting their career, how would you recommend they build the ability to keep learning and adapting to this change?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's obvious that AI is changing, and every 6 months models are coming out, and we are just few months. Anthropic released some fantastic models that shook the space, and everyone was thinking, what are we expecting next? Because that's what AI has been able to do. But then there are certain things that we need to look at. So as a researcher, what I strive most is not about trying to memorize any new tools, or rushing into any new tools. But what I do is will build a system, not just me, what we researchers really do. We build a learning, a repeatable learning system that is anchored on foundations, fundamental things, and experimentation. Yes, we have all these things new coming up. What's the foundation about it? What's the fundamentals of it? It's still based on the basic principles around things that cannot change, like mathematics, statistics, programming, logic, data quality. Those are the foundations. And this thing doesn't change. And at times I remember when I was in school then, and I was we were asking as students, what is the real application of this for the mathematics we are doing? But at that level, because most things were more of abstract, we didn't really see the usefulness of it. But as time progresses and we come to the level of research, being a researcher, yes, there's nothing you will do without having the foundation. The foundation really matters. The second thing we might need to think of is building building a personal learning system. What are the things you do? What is your learning operating system? How does it look like? Do you jump over anything, or not, like you want to learn various things at a time, or you want to focus on something? Understand the process, end-to-end process of it. If possible, build build the end-to-end process so that you could understand the full cycle of uh, of of the solution you're building, and then you can make a evaluation of it, and that will add to your knowledge. That will help you to make informed decisions in the future. There are a few other things I might want to point based on this context. At times when we talk about limitations, because I must understand that for every solution, or for every person, there is a limitation around this. So what I would say, as we researchers, what we do, the limitations might be different, but what I could say that we can do is to the advice I could say is that you treat limitation as maybe design constraint, possibly not just an excuse. Because what happens if you treat the limitation as an excuse, you will you are setting a barrier to your progress. You will not so many things out there that you should learn, you should understand. You won't be able to get that knowledge, which is very, very critical for growth. And lastly, what I would say is that mostly, if let me talk more on that limitation. At times we have limited infrastructure, because that is very, very common. Limited infrastructure. Should that limited infrastructure shape the strategy, the approach to solving the problems we have at hand, finding solutions? Yes, it could have shaped the strategy, but let it not shape the possible progress we could make on that. So that is my thank you very much. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. And for Mr. Usiomah, I wanted to ask that, as someone building solutions for clients, what are the biggest gaps you see between what the graduates are learning in school and what companies are actually looking for in order to deploy AI into the real world?
Thank you very much for that. Now, the biggest gap is how do I put it? The man in the middle. Let me put it that way. There's a simple formula. For you to be employed, you have to have capacity. That capacity needs to show evidence. There needs to be adaptability. There needs to be trust. So if you notice now, the entry level or the barrier to enter for anything now is so low because of AI. You want to build a website, hell, you'll have one in an hour, just put in the right prompt and all whatnot. So the challenge now comes with one, identifying problems. Or let me make it a bit straightforward here. There are about 6 things that serve as gaps for which people who want to get into employment, especially with this AI thing. One, like I said, identifying the problems. Once you identify, it's one thing because in a school system, everything you do is tailored, it's structured. Your problems, you have an idea what the exact questions are. But in the real life, in the real world, a client comes with you with a problem. That problem doesn't necessarily have a question. One of your responsibilities now is to identify what is the question here, the right question that needs to be answered. I give an instance. One of the projects we just rounded off the MVP. What the client came to us was, we want this thing to be an AI system, large language model, or whatnot. And the budget was quite big. But looking at it and breaking it down, I observed that a lot of the things that needed to be done could be handled by Python scripts. And I had to communicate that to the client that we don't need to spend this amount of money to get this thing done. They were skeptical at first, but once we pulled it off, wow, okay, so this is actually possible. So identifying the problem, that's the first one. Then the second one is around communication. You're not going to work in a vacuum. You're not going to work in isolation. You're going to work with other team members. You're going to be able to work with your clients. In bigger organizations, you're going to have to communicate with your manager, with someone in finance in order to get things going. The ability to have what the problem is or the solution and explain it to different level of people, the technical person, the manager, the finance person, the client, and still hold that meaning. Very, very key when it comes to looking for a fit in employment. Then the other thing is with process thinking. Like Charles mentioned, you build models. You are able to build this model to solve a particular problem. You're given an assignment, you build a model to handle it. But in the real world, your model is just there. I have an operation, a client can come, okay, now we're having a problem, our sales are down. How do we increase the sales? Or how do we make the first thing you have to do is go to their sales floor and observe the sales process. Then it's after you observe the sales process, you can now narrow down to the question. So your ability to understand process thinking, not just, okay, I know how to speed up X and I know how to speed up Y, but how can I speed up X in relation to Y that will allow this process to move smoothly? That is one gap that anybody who is looking at that needs to take into consideration. Then, of course, platforms. Platforms here, I'm not just talking about ChatGPT and co. I'm talking even up to the data in question. You need to understand how it works in real life. I know most of the courses, master's degree programs, computer science and co. It gets to the point where they talk about ethics in AI. Now we're training AI with data. What kind of data? Where did the data come from? Now, that data we are going to apply to somebody's sales process. How is it going to affect? Like one real world scenario is when we look at loan applications that try to gauge people's credits, the credit worthiness based on data they are collecting from Western world, and they're trying to integrate it into an African context or in our own experience in Nigerian context, where somebody based on his operations in business is capable of handling this amount of finance. But because your profiling and training was based on a different set of criteria, you do not back the person as able to handle the credit facility he's requesting for, even though the evidence is actually there. You are relying on data from AI that was trained elsewhere. So understanding that platform becomes really key. Then the last of it is responsibility, ability to take ownership of whatever results that you are bringing in. So it's not just I created this. If it gets broken, something goes wrong. Not only admitting that, okay, this has happened, do you know how to fix it, even though you used an AI to generate it? Do you know how to fix it? Do you know how to trace step by step how to reverse it? They ask for something specific. Do you know how to dissect and all whatnot? So those are key areas that people need to. I don't know if this covers, but the long and short of it is there's going to be more light shown into soft skills in conjunction, not on their own, soft skills in conjunction with what you know about AI. So it's not just enough to know how to use the tool. You need to know how to use it in relation to people, in relation to processes, and above all, in line with the organization you want to work within. Some organizations, for example, consulting firms, there are a few consulting firms, yes, they will allow you to use AI, but one of their selling strategies is they want to show their clients that, hey, our consultants are working because they bill these clients by the hour. So if you're coming up with a solution to or a consulting part to a problem a client brought in, and it was generated from AI, some consulting firms will require that you state the parts that were generated by AI and support it with your own theory so that the client has the full picture, because most of it can go into legal and ethical matters. So soft skills in combination with AI tools. So the things that mattered 20 years ago, your ability to be a team player, knowing what your organization, those things will forever remain irrespective of how AI is taking over or doing whatever it's doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming. And Mr. Israel Odeajo, I wanted to ask you, what are the top 3 technical skills you believe a junior AI engineer should focus on acquiring right now?
All right, thank you. So I think the first thing to reemphasize from what Paul mentioned is going to be this really the soft skills. And I think those are the skills we need to start talking about again. I know the number of people on the call are building their technical skills and all of that. But right now, because there is AI enablement, so there is a need to reemphasize. There's been a good team member, is better than being a good Python programmer. All right, that you can communicate well your findings. All right, is much important than the level of papers you've read and abstracts that the methodology and all of that. But that being said, it's just re-emphasized because the advent of AI has made it more necessary to pay attention to your soft skills as much as your technical skills are, very much important. So, I mean, now that we all know that AI skills, we all want to learn that our soft skills are important, then, I mean, just to also add, because a number of people are just trying to get their ways around things, are possibly trying to learn. So I think some programming languages you might look into is Python. All right, Python seems to sit well with a number of the possible stacks or the kind of framework you want to use, within, your working system. So you need to learn more around Python for doing a lot. All right, AI engineering is a long journey from you knowing what your data is like, where your data is coming from, how to access your data. Do you need to do web scraping? Python scripting, just like Paul just mentioned now. We do a lot for you if you understand Python as a programming language, and of course, you can adapt it to several things. So I'm just going to quickly break them down. Your first job is to be able to understand your data, because after you understand the problem, the next question around your head is which data are we going to use to be able to solve this kind of problem. Then you begin to also look at which direction are we looking at. Is it going to be an analytical project? Is it going to be a machine learning predictive model we want to do? Is it going to be, do we want to leverage on already existing LLM models to handle things? So it has to be what direction are we facing? But in all, you should learn your Python programming very well. You should be able to do data wrangling very well. But because you're also interacting with the database, so you should know SQL very well. Structured query language is also something that you should know, because you cannot extract value from AI without structured data handling. Knowledge of SQL, Python for pandas, data cleaning. These are fundamental requirements, which the AI may not be able to do a good job for you until you understand the processes. What AI will be asking at that point is, tell me where to go to, because it needs direction. All right, that's like one first part of learning. The other part is because your models are not going to sit on your local notebooks, right? Of course, you want to host something that is live. So API deployment and some level of software engineering will be very important. The number of APIs, back-end handlings that you can learn, but one of them that I do and work with a lot of time, which I've worked in a team of people who are even doing Java at the back of things. But if you don't know things like fast API, is going to give you a good level of leverage. Or you can also learn about Docker. Docker is just that intermediary between your local system and wherever you're trying to load your work line. All right. Of course, one big concept of AI engineering right now, if you're not doing model fine-tuning, you're obviously going to be using a RAG system. What's a RAG? That's a retriever augmented generation system, whereby you are connecting that large models to your own internal database, all right, to be able to get certain answers, queries that can be verified within your own private context. What is localized to you? Because, and that is one of the things people are really building now. All right, because I also consult, so I hear this a number of days. Yes, we have this data of our own, but we want to use it on a very smart system like LLMs. They want to consume APIs from OpenAI, from Gemini, from Azure, OpenAI. Think of it, Azure Factory and all of that. So I think there is a whole lot others, but at least if you are able to look at it from your local level, so how do I interact with other people who are going to use my system? But of course, what are we doing that is AI in place, right? Because those are going to be like 3 top level of your engagement or what you will need as an AI engineer, whether at a junior level or even at a more technical level. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odeajo, for this insightful answer. And I'm also glad that you all brought up the importance of having the fundamental basics, learning the fundamental basics that can be incorporated in creating and deploying AI systems, and also ensuring that people are also incorporating soft skills as well, because we do see a trend of, especially in the youth, thinking that AI is a fast way ticket for them to launch their entrepreneurial career or enter into freelancing work. And most of them just think, once I know how to prompt engineer in ChatGPT, create a website, I'm done. So what do you think what kind of shift needs to be made in order for any individual that is looking to enter into freelance working or to launch their own agency? What do they need to also incorporate to ensure that if they're building these things, they're more sustainable and it's not just something that won't stay for a long time, to just be a short-lived business? And the question is open to all of you.
Okay, thanks for that. Irrespective of what you want to do, what I found out, and I think is worth saying at this point, there's nothing new under the sun. We're basically recycling everything. We're just changing the tools. So hands-on experience is usually the fastest way to learn something. You can read as many books, attend as many seminars as you want to attend, but the fastest way to gain experience is pick something, try it out, get a prototype, ask people outside of yourself to try to use the prototype, get feedback from them, and refine. Do that repeat. For example, let's say someone has little or no knowledge of AI and he wants to get there in 1 year, 6 months, whatever the case may be. First things first, as everybody has said, the basics. Learn the basics, a little basic programming, a little basic AI prompt engineering and all whatnot. Then next, based on your interest, pick a target, pick a project. By the time you are done putting that project together, you must have touched a bit of cloud deployment, APIs, or whatnot, little things that will allow that project to come to life. When you are meeting somebody, you will be meeting somebody with an actual question that, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm stuck here. Not like, how do I go about? So once you now have a prototype, okay, it's supposed to be targeted towards this particular thing, let the people who you are intending it to try it out. They try it out, they give you feedback. No, this thing sucks. No, it's difficult to use. Oh, it would be better if it were. Collect that feedback, go back and refine. And it doesn't just apply towards when you are entering something. It also applies to product development. You are building something for the market. Yes, you spend time, you've built it, then that's what the beta testing is for. You put it out there and get the potential users to actually use it and tell you what they feel and how this doesn't actually work or this doesn't gel. So there's nothing new under the sun. Just refine the tools, get feedback, and continue. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming Usiomah. Is there anyone else that wants to add on to that?
Yeah. What Fleming said a lot of things that I had in mind to say, but let me look at it in this angle not from the AI. Yes, we have the AI tools. Now, what the AI can do, it can help us reduce cost of creating our first draft and the prototype, like he mentioned. And there are certain things that AI will not help us to do. For example, building trust, the distribution aspect in terms of quality or sustainable model, incorporating feedback into systems. That's what AI will not help us to do. So if for someone to what you could learn to be able to build and grow a business, it could be more like not just the AI, using AI as your phase two, but having to understand the customer. Yeah, we have AI has come now. AI has helped us to develop a lot of things, and we end up develop things that may not really need. So there's an aspect that we need to also pay attention to, which is, have you spent time to understand who the customer is? That is a learning process in its way. I've been a technical. My background has been in technical. I've been in engineering, then moving to AI, software development, then to AI. How about the other aspect of being able to launch a business, understanding what it takes, understanding the customer? How do I earn trust as a person? Those are learning curves on their own that one will really need, not just the technical skill. One will really need to embed this knowledge while also developing the technical aspect. So that will also help someone to be more grounded, that whatever thing you push out there, you will be able to perform a critical analysis of it. What does this thing meet up the customers? Because definitely some products fail today, AI products fail, not because they are not good, but somehow it's because they have missed the required ingredient. So as a person, having this required ingredient in one side is as important as having the technical skills in the other side. Thank you.
Thank you very very much. And before we move forward, is there anyone else that would want to add onto this question?
Okay, yeah, just to more, summarize what has been said. In all of the processes you are doing it with human, you have to first know that, and humans are not robots. So human, we think like human, the processes has to also be as human. So as much as you want to, because I've worked with a number of people, no matter what they are building, they want to hear the word AI powered. So once it's AI powered, is something sophisticated, is something, that is the real thing right now. If you're not saying that, you are not building. If you're not saying that, you are not doing anything really, right? So that is why as also learners, because with that now we begin to now pay more attention to technicalities. That's something you're supposed to explain as human. You are trying to be more, so that you can see you as a very technical person. You are now feeling the processes. You now say you've gone to pitch something, nobody's buying into it. You are not saying that nobody's feeling your solution is going to work. So I think that is the part we need to look at: the human, the process, and the product. It's only in your product you have the AI. The human needs human interaction, all right? The human need, so there are many things that makes up the component of the people you are dealing with, either as an entrepreneur. It's only your product you have the AI, and that's the only part the AI stops. Maybe your workflow, a particular feature on the solution. The other part, that needs to deal with customer services, like just what Charles mentioned, building trust, all of those circles of engagement, you don't leave that to an AI system to handle. So as much as we are building with AI, we also have to look at, those basic things that will make you a successful entrepreneur and not push all of that into AI. Every email is automated. There are no controls. Everything is just AI. One day somebody will see bug in what you are sending. Maybe it's not working with what is supposed to be personalized, and you are losing out in customers. So there are other, part and framework that make you a good, entrepreneur or a freelancer that you are. But if you fail off the part of human interaction, as much as you are skillful, as much as your product is supposed to do well, you are going to lose out a lot. And of course, who are we going to blame? Are we going to blame the AI for doing a perfect job, or blame you for not controlling what should happen between the AI and the human you are interacting with? Yeah.
Thank you very much for these wonderful answers. I have a question for Mr. Charles Anjah. So a lot of people think that AI careers they only exist with Google or OpenAI. So from a researcher perspective, what emerging opportunities are you seeing in industries like healthcare, agriculture, finance, or government?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the question. Yes, it's obvious that we see all those big tech as the only place where AI career exists. But it's very important to also know that the largest number of useful AI opportunities will emerge inside ordinary sectors. And what we can find in those sectors is sectors that have data, decisions, language, image, and possibly repetitive workflows. So yes, AI is just basically for general purpose capability, but most people will not work for companies like the ones mentioned. They will work for organizations that actually use AI in improving those domain, like the healthcare, the agriculture, and others. So the opportunities is therefore enormous. It combines AI competence with maybe sector and the problem. You have to have one hand the AI competence, and there have to be a sector and also the problem. So in the healthcare, specifically healthcare, in some countries, mostly the developed countries, there are lots of AI products coming in, trying to soften the operation and the processes in healthcare. But if we look within the global south and the other developing countries, there are a lot of areas, opportunities that can be explored we talk about clinical documentation. A lot of tasks done in the hospitals um, are done. The documentations are handwritten and maybe dumped somewhere at the end of the day. That cannot feed back into the learning process, into the system. So that is actually a real gap on its own. How about we look at the patient navigation? How does patients navigate? How do they uh, uh, assess medical help? How do they assess them? Also, at times we do even we do X-ray and a lot of things. There could be imaging support. There could be remote monitoring of patients, understanding how they are doing, not just in the hospital. Understand, yeah, before the advent of AI, there's been a lot of automations now, before now. I mean, the mainstream AI, a lot of automations in regards to remote monitoring. How do you monitor the operational forecasting and decision support, helping patients and to support with their decisions. So there are a lot of opportunities there. When it comes to these other sides, still within the healthcare, there's other side where we tend to promote more now within the developed countries is about the evaluation safety of the AI. Evaluate a bias. How do we eliminate bias? Although bias is a big topic that we keep discussing, but we're looking for ways we can reduce bias. So there are great opportunity in that aspect. Privacy. How do you maintain privacy? Recently, we talked about federated systems where you can send, where you don't need to take the data from customers, but you don't need to collect their data, but you train the model and with their while maintaining the restrictions within their data, within their the customer's data. So those are things, the usability, those are things we looked into, and there are great opportunities in those areas when it talks to comes to healthcare. How about the agriculture? When you look at the agriculture, we would say agriculture is one of the areas that mostly in the developed countries that have not really explored the use of AI uh, is in terms of pest detection. How do we detect pests? How do we control pests? How do we analyze weather and the yield, our yield, cropped yield? How do we get market informations? Or what is the supply chain? Most of the times we operate. When I say we, is talking about the generally anyway, not specific to anyone. We tend to operate a broken supply chain where the products just end on the from the farm to maybe to sell. That's just the byproduct. There's no good supply chain that connects the farmer to the producer, and that could ensure constant supply, no break in the chain. So with AI, these things could be done. Could be when it comes to finance. I happen to work up for more than 7 years in the financial industry, where we understand what happened, and a lot of things happens, and you see that technology is ideas, the problems are exported out to other places to be to get solution from, but within we could develop AI could help us develop. We could help us develop fraud detections. A lot of fraud happening here and there. You see dispense error when people make transactions and it goes and it doesn't come back, and all the back and forth. These are things that could be solved with AI. Could really be utilized to solve them. Most especially when we have good data on it. How about our customer support, the complaint management system? How do we manage complaints? You see, obvious that you notice a lot of the banks has a lot of have the majority a greater number of complaints from the recent analysis that was done somewhere, and such there should be a proper way of managing complaints. A document process, you go to the bank, you fill form, a lot of forms. So back then we were when technology first came, the fintech that were growing in some places, they were growing. What financial institutions and other key stakeholders would have done is to rally around those fintechs, ensure that their technology, they buy the technology, they support the growth of the technology. But what happened was that the kept exporting or importing the ideas and the technology they need, and the fintechs now are really doing really great, more than the traditional banks. So there are a lot of opportunities there in terms of governance and government and public service. AI could help us. Documents, it could help us in document classification. How do we handle that? Documentations and other processes that we see, maybe case prioritization, fraud, and all those things that AI could help the government to not just last time we talked about the frameworks. Yes, the frameworks. How about the governing aspect and the regulation aspect? We could bring AI into it to help have a better governance of public sector. So looking beyond the AI engineer, there are various areas like the data engineering, machine learning operations, and maybe platform engineers that some of us has mentioned previously. There are even a key role like AI evaluators. They are very those AI evaluators are highly rated because they play a very critical role in ensuring that our AI are trustworthy. They are trustworthy and they are safe. So in all these things I've talked about, I think there are great opportunities in all sectors. Gone are the days we were saying that AI could only be used in one particular sector, maybe in education or something, but in all sectors, we've seen how AI could have been used in modeling in teaching, for teaching support, feedbacks, content assessment, and administration. So what I would say, just like a quote, is that do not build a generic AI identity. We build a credible intersection, a sector you understand, and a class of problem you can solve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. And given that there are already a lot of opportunities within the AI ecosystem, I wanted to ask Mr. Fleming Usiomah. You previously mentioned that there's a need for the government to be involved heavily in nurturing skills. So in the situation where already Mr. Anjah said there are different opportunities available, how do you think the youth, or in what way should the youth go about to harness these opportunities, especially in a limited environment?
Thank you very much. The key thing you said there, in a limited environment, and you talked about government. We cannot throw away, we cannot rule out what government has to do. Now, in the absence of government, we now have big private organizations that can actually step in to, maybe for profit, help their processes go along. But in order for anybody to tap an opportunity, the opportunity actually has to exist within the context. I know most of the talk around is about, we're talking about keeping local talents local, and we are trying to stop brain drain. But in all sincerity, if someone has the capability to build something really good, or has the IQ to learn and to build something really good, and then the environment around them is not allowing for that, what do you expect the person to do? The only opportunity probably available to that person is the opportunity to get out of the environment to where there's something better. So opportunities are only available as far as there are people who are creating, people, institutions, governments that are creating the opportunities. Because for example, I'll use Nigeria as a case study, or maybe an example here in this case, where we're talking about opportunity, but we're still a bit behind when it comes to infrastructure, as in data storage and all whatnot. We're putting laws that are now mandating some particular sector of the economy to keep our data within Nigeria. Yet we are still struggling with infrastructure to make sure that data centers can actually run. So anybody who wants to actually build something into or build into that will have to either have the finance to power your own data center, or hope that someone in that category builds a data center then you can key into. So opportunity, yes, but that depends on who is providing and the ability to provide the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Usiomah. And for Mr. Odeajo, for students and early career professionals watching today, what are the one or two portfolio projects that would make you say, hire this person immediately?
Okay, thanks. So I think Charles already did a good justice to that, because the same idea in research plays out in the project. The idea of a research is just something you're trying to document, for more people to be exposed to it. Why a project could just be for something you're doing to showcase what you can do. So the first approach as learners that we are is look at your locality. What are the major problems, all right? The SDG goals also gives you a clearer picture, even if you cannot really, because at times identifying certain problems might take a lot. But the SDG goals make it a bit easy. Is there issues around poverty, around education, around, are there agricultural issue around, are there injustice issue around? All right. So the question now is, if you are pulling that up, we are looking at what technology can we use to drive this. For example, I know that the paper right now that we are pushing, they are focusing on something on agriculture. And I know someone, Charles were talking about pest control and all of that. That was the major concern we were looking at, to say, okay, can we help these guys to say when they bring in certain information in their locality, all right, they say, oh, I'm facing this particular issue on my farm. It comes up with possible, more like a first aid thing before they even plant, before they even do stuff. Of course, I'm not an agri person, I am an AI engineer, but that's to tell you that you are solving problem based on what is around you, not just because what you feel you should solve. So no matter how small it's going to be, pay attention to the happenings around you. Is there electricity? What are the issues, all right, where you find yourself? Is it agriculture? Is it education? All right, you can try to build an AI system that will help to summarize the notebooks in your classes, right? Whereby people can exactly point them to certain pages. That's a solution already. So the key thing about project is it doesn't have to be as gigantic as you think it is. Just that it's solving a problem either from a manual approach to something more technical. So that's the way you should, see problem solving. It doesn't have to be a big scale, because to scale might be a lot, but at least your own is proof of concept and for validation. That's why you're building a project as a student. You want to say, I can do this. So no matter how small it is, just make sure that we can relate with the problem. And of course, your processes should be the people, like we mentioned at that time, and the process, right? It's people, human-centric, so that when they see the solution, they can relate. You don't have to say too many things, but many people right now, we need to convince them to understand what you're trying to build. Why? Because you're not building from the woman. You need to say a lot. But it's as simple as, okay, I built a system that could, generate all Y questions in the last 10 years. You can go back there, it solves the question automatically to you. It could turn the questions into a podcast you can listen to. Those are things you can think of. As simple as, an educational system, agriculture. So talk about it. So my point is, I might not really be able to say this and this because of the peculiarity of where we are, but the way we should assess problem solving is very key locally. All right, we are all global developers, right? But then we will need to first solve what is happening in our locality. And with that, we'll be able to build portfolios that will make sense. Just one project is enough to prove, all right, as far as it is local based, is enough to prove that you have a global space that you want to also, get into. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
maybe I could do, Miriam, just for the interest of participants and speakers. I actually I thought I could also share one of the solutions, of course, and just a story behind it. And this is what we call Kitab Smart, and probably some of you could be interested to view it. There was a student, of course, as I mentioned, in my full-time job, I work with the University of Dodoma. So one of the students just approached me, and this was Elia. So Elia was, of course, a final year student at the University of Dodoma. So Elia came to me, mentioned that maybe I'm not quite sure if you are able to see the screen. So Elia came to me asking, okay, doctor, I have seen you doing a number of projects on AI, and yes, I have graduated from a university. Elia was doing a Bachelor of Science in Information System, and at the University of Dodoma, students studying information systems are not considered such deep software developers. Imagine we have computer science, we have software engineers, we have telecom, we have computer engineers. So, and these are two, we have around 3 departments. I work with the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and this is a department where we consider students pure developers. So when Elia came and asked, okay, so from the internal push, he just approached me to my office. Doctor, I want to learn on how to develop AI solution, because the University of Dodoma is also hosting African Artificial Intelligence Lab funded by IDRC and CEDA and UKFCDO. So when Elia came, I thought, okay, so he just graduated, and he does not want to go home until he has able to develop maybe a solution. So what I designed, okay, you said earlier, can we do what we call project-based learning? Because we have a project which is a STEM project funded by UNICEF. And when we launched the project, we trained over 3,000 teachers. But maybe something was different from when we train the teachers. We also create WhatsApp community just to keep them engaging. And imagine among the 80% of the communications that were going around the group, the WhatsApp community, it's not about how do we push STEM education within the school context, but school teachers were asking, can I get, maybe someone just to send a message, hello, who have a lesson plan for chemistry? And afterwards you see, hello, who has a lesson plan for biology? Who has a lesson plan for mathematics? So I found like 90% of the communication is not about chemistry, biology, teaching, and STEM-based technical issues, rather than it's just how do we maybe who has maybe scheme of work, lesson plan for this subject. So from there, I told Elia that yes, we have a project where we are trying to empower teachers on STEM-based skills. But 80% of the communication is around how do we who has a scheme of work for this. So imagine a teacher teaching in a certain schools, those scheme of work need to be personalized. So if someone give you his or her scheme of work, it's quite difficult to just adopt as it is. that means you have to do some reviewing and personalizing so that you can use it in your class. So what I told Area is that, can you build an AI system? Because, for example, content curriculums is a public document. So it's shared by the ministry. It's shared by Tanzania Institute of Education. So you can just download those PDF and try to create a scheme of work and lesson plan from this a PDF that has been shared by the Tanzania Institute of Education. So when Eria started, he brought a draft, a prototype, and maybe after 6 months, he was able to bring a solution, which is a working solution on AI, which address local challenges. So maybe what we could just mention, I know you can just create you can just create an account, and then you can play around with KitabSmart. But what KitabSmart is doing, and that's what I just want to show, a teacher can just click maybe a lesson plan or scheme of work. And once you click a lesson plan or scheme of work, KitabSmart will few inputs from a teacher. And once you are done, you just click generate a lesson plan. And it give you both PDF, but it also give you editable version where you can edit some of the maybe field that you want to refine. And the good news is that we have managed to secure a patent for KitabSmart, and we are now working to a commercialization phase with Area. So you can imagine. So I think these are some of the issues that African youth should be engaged and develop solutions that address our community challenges. We have just given KitabSmart as just one tool, but we also have many other development sectors like agriculture, healthcare. So should we wait until an innovator from US to come and correct our data and develop our solution? I think the answer is no. So I think it's high time where African youth should now take a forefront seat and come up with the solution. I know there are some issues, for example, limited access of GPU. That could be a challenge. But what the University of Dodoma is doing, of course, as part of what we are doing, we have a public access GPU. You just sent us an email. We just create a platform for you, a notebook where you can run your model and come up with a deployed solution. So I think we should not keep mentioning on the challenges. Let's try to face the reality. I know it's not easy, yes, but once you engage on developing these kind of solutions, at the end, we'll come up with a relevant solution which can address our communities. I thought it's good to give how Area approached me as a lecturer and designed a project-based approach. And at the end, we now have a patented solution which we are now wanting to commercialize in Tanzania. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matogoro, for giving us a visual understanding of how opportunities can be harnessed. And this actually leads to my next question, because in addition to what the speaker said, on one end, we've identified that there are opportunities that can be taken advantage of. And we also said that we also need to focus on localizing these solutions and these systems so that they can work within the Global South area. And also Mr. Fleming mentioned about opportunities meeting the funding requirements there, meaning that you can have an opportunity, but if you don't have the proper support within the environment, the funding and everything, then that cannot be, it cannot be actualized. So the question that I have is that we have a lot of youth, the youth, they're ready to take on this technology, but most of them, when they approach AI, they approach it with a vision of working offshores in offshore markets. So what can be done in addition to what Dr. Matogoro just showed us right now? What more do you think needs to be done for there to be a shift in the youth's mind that when they are thinking of AI solutions, AI benefits, they think of the global south, they think of Africa, they think of their countries? The question is open to each and every one of you.
Thanks for that. I think one other aspect that it's currently happening is you are local where you are, but you are employed remotely. Now, the good thing with remote work, especially for us here in Africa, is when we translate their dollar to our local currency, it's actually quite substantial. And to them, it's not as expensive as it would hiring somebody from their place. So that now allows you to get some of the income you would need to actually finance some of these ideas and initiatives. An example is our flagship product was practically financed from the jobs we did for foreign clients, because the income basically was way, way more than our cost. So that allowed us to invest heavily on that. So I think the same thing can also apply. Yes, you get the experience for global employment, use the same methods that we talked about to target such companies and get yourself employed. You work here in your country, get the income, network, and build something to lift your country or your locality out of the situation. That's one way to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usiomah. Is there anyone else that would want to add on to that?
Yeah, I would add, I think is just the bottom line of what we've listened so far from different speakers is about the government and large organization. They should create demand. Now, it's very easy to say to somebody, don't ask somebody to stay, but we need to create reasons for them to stay and contribute, real reasons. Yeah, I think one of the ways is for government and large organization to create demand for by procuring these local ideas, local products produced by the locals, open appropriate data sets, whether it's the banking, open data set. You could put a remove the personal identifiable information, but open it up. Also, you can fund applied research. You can afford make those are the things that will make people that's reasons that will help make them to stay. How about support internship and graduate pathways? I think one of the speakers talked about not killing, not giving out automated, not giving out the simplest work to AI to solve, but let it be part of the entry level. That could be things that will encourage. I'm speaking from the side of encouraging people to stay. I think those are the things we can do. Yes, we talk about the cross-border kind of work, remote work, diaspora partnership, and marketing. That's something else we can look into. Also, I like what the other speaker talked about, having research infrastructure, what they did about the GPU. That's a very good one. And to see having that kind of system, we can have shared shared systems, shared laboratories, so that we ease the burden from individuals or the SMEs trying to struggle for survival, struggle to purchase things that they could combine, or they could collaborate with others to achieve. Those are my points. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. Mr. Odeajo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think I sit well with the two contributions. It's within that range.
Thank you very much. And so before we move forward, we have some questions from our virtual participants. And these questions are open to any of the speakers. Feel free to just answer. The first one is from Mr. Simon Marwa. And his question is that many organizations are still struggling with AI adoption despite having trained employees. So in your experience, what are the biggest organizational barriers that are preventing AI skills from translating into measurable operational improvements?
Okay, let me take that one because that actually speaks to us. I think in Acesys Solutions between last year and this year, we did a lot of shifts from most of the manual things to AI-aided tools. But one big bottleneck we still found out was, let's say it's going to take somebody, on a normal day, you give someone a task, it's going to take him like 2 weeks to do. With the AI tool, he can do it in a day or two. That's fine. But the current challenge we are facing is he's done his own in a day or two, but somebody else depends on what he needs to do or what he has to complete in order to take. So we've now found ourselves in a situation that, fine, it's has sped up how fast we do stuff. But on a normal day, without the tool, it will take us 2 months to get it there. But now with the tool and the extra expense, it's taking us 1.5 months. So kind of we're still gauging, is the 2 weeks worth the expense that we're currently incurring? And that's really tailored to that question. And one way we have identified is we need to now change our process, our SOPs around the way we work and which organizations do we have to do. It is one thing to have your employees trained to use AI, but if, for example, part of your business operations is to bill your clients by the hour, and you have encouraged your staff to use AI, meaning if they are supposed to record 8 hours for this work, they've done it in 20 minutes. How does that fit? They will still be required to make up the 8 hours. And so there's now, the organization is currently now behind the employees in terms of, so it's all about the leadership of the organization understanding, okay, yeah, this is a bottleneck, and they have to actively take measures to revamp their processes to meet up with the speed or with the current level of engagement that the staffs currently have with AI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usiomah. Mr.
think
Anjah, Mr. Odeajo.
Yeah, I might have something to add to that. Yes, definitely there will be challenges in AI adoption in organization. That is very, very obvious because a normal organization system where you have people, process, and technology, you realize that there's always the bulk, the percentage of the problem, not problem per se, but issues arising and within the organizations will always lie on the people, not necessarily on the technology or the process. So yes, I will just want to talk a bit about cost, though Fleming mentioned, yes, the cost is one of the things that has reduced AI adoption. The AI adoption is not really about, is the user of the people using the tool for productivity. to harness their productivity. Now, I just want to point to recently, there has been a lot of engagement everywhere that how AI will replace jobs, how AI will do, and there have been a lot of fears around it. We see how companies lay off their tech engineers few years ago because they expected AI to do a lot more. But I think few months ago, we had about few companies secretly recruiting another batch of their tech engineers back into the system because one of the experience was the cost of holding using the AI models like the most of these language models, embedding them into their system is really, really high. And just like I said, up to a point that certain people were users were apportioned certain quarter, and within few weeks or less, those quarters were exhausted. Quarters that would have lasted for a month were exhausted. So you see developers using AI to develop. You see something that you should just easily put one line of code. You're now asking AI to fetch you that. So it brought a lot of redundancy in the way we think. And that is one obvious thing. So yes, there's the issues around organization adoption. They are still looking at the cost. They are still looking at human in the loop aspect of everything. Yes, they want AI to do, but they still want human to be in charge of those processes. So those things could drag adoption a bit slower in that sense. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
just
much.
to also add, from that view, another key thing will be about control and also, evaluation. All right, just like what has been said, a work that will take 2 weeks that is not taking us 1 hour, 2 hours. All right, I also had that experience of recent. I was actually working for on a particular market survey research. Of course, I was paid for that to do that within 1, 2 weeks. But of course, I was able to come up with a 50 pages document in less than 2 hours. Personally, I couldn't submit that because I felt what has really happened, right? I was saying around me and saying, I hope I'm not in trouble. So, but then, those are some of the things that you face really. But then I had to send that, maybe a day after, and I had to write it there. This is a draft because I know this is real, I know what is there is correct. But then the timeline is too short for me to also believe that this is the thing. So I had to tell the person, after my lead, I said, this is a draft too. So just make all your corrections and all of that. He came back after like 1, 2 days and say, hey, Israel, how will you call this a draft? 50 pages already. But I think one of the things I think that was what make it different is for every single thing I had to verify. Every single references, I checked them out. Every single link. So the real work I did was verifying every single. So at some point, I could trust what was happening. Once they put a link somewhere, I click the link, it's not going anywhere, I drop that. All right, I go and find. So I mean, that was what I was doing at that point. This is a big project, trust me. But then, so I think these are the things that companies really have issues with. How do we verify this, control this? How do we sure that you have also not lose your guard, in trying to build an AI systems, and there are loopholes that you have not seen. There is something is quoting that does never exist. There are links is saying that is nowhere to be found. So those are reasons. It's just about safety really that is the big thing and big deal for most of the companies from adopting it. But if you can prove to them why they should, of course, a lot of people are getting to that stage whereby they are also given a quota of work that they can also, implement AI into their systems.
Thank you very much for that perspective on the importance of human oversight. We have another question from Elkanah Jeremiah, and they're asking that we talk a lot about using AI to be more productive in workflows and meetings, but how do companies actually stay safe from data leakage when using tools built by external tech providers? And what security guardrails should they have in place?
Okay, this actually makes sense with our current discussion on employability. Now, this is where the human in the loop becomes critical. Now, first things first, data classification. You have to classify your data. Public, internal, confidential, high sensitivity. It's not a machine that's going to do that. It's a human being that's going to do that. So they need to be laid down rules. What can be given to an AI, what cannot be given to an AI. And those things that cannot be given to an AI, what are you going to do about them? We're going to have people manually handle them, or you build internal systems to take care of that. The other issue, another thing you can do is approved versus unapproved tools. And the other speakers talked about the issue of cost. Now, there are a lot of cheap AI tools out there. China is doing, but of course, the cheaper they are, you know that what they're actually getting from you is your data. So the more you veer towards enterprise level tools, the more expensive those ones are, because they have to cover the cost of the fact that they are not getting data from you. So companies have to put guardrails. There are tools that are approved to be used for certain jobs, and there are tools that are not supposed to be used for certain jobs in that aspect. Then, of course, the human verification. Yes, the AI spits out the work in 1 hour, but you might probably have to spend 3, 4, 5 hours verifying the output, especially if the result of what you are doing is critical to some other process. So that human in the middle cannot be overlooked. Then, of course, there's the employee trainings. Organizations need to take their time to train employees on, okay, yeah, you know how to use this tool. This is what you can share. This is what you cannot share. I think I saw one communique a few days back, whereby depending on how you structure a search on Google, you will come up with charts that have been shared by Claude AI. Shared, not private chat, but that you just use the shared link. A lot of people didn't know that that could happen. And there were a lot of sensitive information. Okay, you used AI to get a solution. Instead of you trying to explain it to the other person, the quick option is to share it with the person, and it contains a lot of sensitive data and stuff like that. So those are other issues. And then governance and audits. I know the EU, European Union, is strong on that, but the rest of us really need to catch up. Government still has a very, very vital role to play on this, whereby they make it mandatory, whereby you're using AI, you need to document what you are asking these things, the kind of prompts you generated, the questions that were asked, you need to document it so that if there is a breach, you can trace where and what happened. So I think those are a little bit of safeguards, and it all points back to how valuable a human being still is, even though AI is doing a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usiomah. Mr. Anjah and Mr. Odeajo, do you want to add in anything?
Yeah, I think he has mentioned a lot of things there. Talking about guardrails to put in place, I think one of the thing is we can put the outside what he has mentioned is our incident response. What is the company's incident response? Yeah, how do they respond to incidents? What is the shutdown? Maybe do they have any shutdown procedures? What are the things that needs to go? So this could tighten up the security around leakages on and put a very proper guardrails to it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. Mr. Odeajo?
Yeah, so just to speak a bit to technicalities that might be involved in this, a number of them has been mentioned. And I think prompt injection can also help. And I mean, falling back to what Charles just mentioned, the system yourself, companies themselves needs to set up, word cards, the system, because when these things happen, really, most time it's going to be a prompt issue trying to go into a direction that you have not possible, look into. So there's a lot of technicality that goes into this. But of course, that is why we encourage everyone to, and of course, even for many of us here, these are some of the areas we should also try to scale up, all right? Because that will be what everybody will come day to day to talk about. You're an AI engineer. These are the issues, right? And these are the issues you will obviously face on the day to day, which the security part of data and not allowing this hallucination to happen, data leakage to happen, are going to be the technical things I will recommend that you also learn, because that's really the part we will need woman for beyond the result that we get. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odeajo. And for the last question, we have from Elinipenda Amin, and they're asking that many organizations are rushing to adopt AI for competitive advantage. So how can business leaders balance innovation with cybersecurity, data privacy, regulatory compliance, and workforce readiness in order to ensure responsible and sustainable AI adoption?
Okay, maybe let me still start from the last point I raised about the question, because is interlinked about having a good incident and incident response and shutdown procedures. I think most companies actually ignore incident management. I think it's obvious that most companies do have a business continuity plan, and in the business continuity plan, it has to include things like this. How in the event of attack, what should the company do? What should they do? What are the procedures to follow? So also, yeah, they also have to um have a name incident owner. I guess I'm still within the context of the question. Yeah, still. Yeah, they just basically before I drift away, it needs to have a very good strong shutdown procedure on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anjah. Mr. Usiomah or Mr. Odeajo, do you have anything to add on to this?
I think it's basically the two questions are sort of interlinked. So we've said what needs to be said, and that incident handling really, really important for organizations. And of course, which cannot happen without a human being. So for those who are asking about employability, those are areas that AI cannot handle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usiomah. And this is the end of the questions that I have for our speakers. I just wanted to say thank you for each and every one of you for your time. It was really a great enlightening session for me, and I believe for everyone that has joined in today. And for the Kitabu Smart link, if you can go through the chat, Dr. Matogoro has put the link within the chat for you to look through the page or the website. So I will hand over to Dr. Matogoro for any further discussions.
Yes, for me, I am so much excited with the experts' opinions, and I can imagine why each of you were selected to join the panel. And for sure, you have unpacked very strong points. And the good thing that you have just used a very soft language that every person can understand. It's not something, when we attend some of these conversation, especially when you have technical experts like you guys, everyone will talk about the tokenization, and machine learning and so issues like when you mention maybe AI is for a certain type of people, and but the way we have discussed it has been an inclusive way, and thank you so much, Miriam, for moderating the session. And maybe I saw the comments from Sanjeev, and let's try to take this engagement beyond talking. You know, it's quite easy for people to talk, and unfortunately, it's very difficult to take to convert the talk to action. It's not always easy, but for me, I always try to fight and maybe try to go beyond talking and final make sure that what you are talking is easier for us to convert to something that we can implement or realize. And I know maybe some of you might be aware that AI is now coming up very fast, and unfortunately, we see big companies releasing version after version, and sometimes they are putting a lot of investments, and uh, which is very difficult sometimes to convert the investment that big companies are putting and the return they are getting. So over recent, I've been invited by Google to join on a roundtable to discuss AI and economics. How does it impact our community? So I think some of these conversations are very important. And maybe something that I wanted to share here. Let me check if I can share my screen. Because I think we really need to find a way on how do we have this conversation going. So imagine like this is wanted to share this is what is this? Let me check here. Just want to share one of yes, I wanted to share this. Funds Beeline is one of the platform which normal have a lot of funding opportunities. Okay, so for example, if you go to funding, and then you could try to, let's say, I go to maybe in the area which I want to search. Here you can now identify many opportunities. So if you filter on the research area, for example, suppose we want to check on what are the funding opportunities available in artificial intelligence. Okay, so if you go computer science, I just want to check on this artificial intelligence. Okay, so let's pick artificial intelligence. You can imagine just open grants for artificial intelligence. There are around 59 open grants. And you can see like this one is Transfer AI Fellowship, Research Associate, Expert Group Grants. This is $50, you see. This is Freedom 250, Advancing US Artificial Intelligence Leadership, $30. Imagine like this one. This is around 44 million something, okay? European Union, this is euros, I think, yeah. So this is EU Frontier AI Initiative, developing frontier AI solution that are safe and computational efficient within applied AI, okay? And this is 9.2 million euro. This is decode the immunoscience of age-related disease. And there are a lot of, so for example, this one is tools and processes to support stress tests of critical infrastructure. This is like euro 4.9 or 4.8 million euros, you know. So there are a lot of AI grants where we can take advantage of the strength that we already have and then join together and come up with the solutions. It's not a time of just talking. It's a time of converting talking to actions. And in that way, it's quite easy to bring the impact to community. And I also wanted to just show you, I know we'll share such kind of, we have, this is one of the projects the University of Dodoma is implementing, African Artificial Intelligence Lab. Maybe you could also share the link in the chat. And we have just concluded our conference. If you click on the conference, which brought over 200 participants from over 24 countries in Dar es Salaam. So they both come gathered in Dar es Salaam to discuss most pressing issues on artificial intelligence. So for me, AI is not a matter of discussion. It's a matter of putting this discussion into action so that we can jointly develop solutions that can address our challenges. It's not about grants. It's not about funding, because funding comes with responsibilities. So when you win this funding, means you have a viable idea. Okay, so you know, for a university graduate, you might be excited. Yes, we have got maybe 10 million euro grants. But it's not about celebrating 10 million euro grants, but that funding comes with huge responsibilities. How prepared are we to come up with such kind of solutions? And that's why with a Center for Artificial Intelligence and a Multidisciplinary Solution in Africa, we understand no one person can develop AI solution. AI solution require multidisciplinary kind of collaboration. If you are developing an AI solution for healthcare solution, you will always need healthcare experts, but you will also need AI experts. And at the end, we really need to embrace what we call a human-centered design approach, where you must have communities, people who are going to use the solution on board. Because what I've just heard, if I was to capture keywords, I have seen almost every speaker mentioning about trust. And trust can't happen if AI expert could just sit in a room, develop solutions, and bring those solutions to community. Trust will come when we embrace ecosystem-based collaboration. Let's bring every relevant stakeholders on board and let's develop together. And at the end, we will both say, this is our solution, and not that is their solution, like what people are pointing fingers to many systems. Maybe as I went up, I also think I could just mention that, yes, AI has got biasness, okay? I think this is something that we should also, maybe to demonstrate that, I want to show this. You can even do it from your end. This is a Google search engine. And I just want to check to search. Maybe let's search engineer avatar. Okay. So when you search the engineer avatar, as I searched it, maybe do you see the images? Who are dominating between males and females? From this search results, we all see like males are dominating, right? Now, let's try to search nurse avatar. Who are dominating from this? We see females are dominating. That means AI system can inherit the biasness, that traditional biasness. You know, when you mention, without even mentioning the gender and what, you say maybe when you just hear someone mentioning, okay, engineer has came here and parked his car, or maybe parked the car without mentioning his or her. So the perception is that, okay, if the engineer came here, okay, that must be a man. But if you mention, there was someone from my village, I mentioned that of course, he was very excited that I've been selected to join Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and he's a man. So everyone was like, is a man able to be a nurse? You know? So these are just some of the stereotypes that we do have in our community. So that means whenever we design AI solutions, it is very, very important to make sure that we do not make AI systems to be biased because of the biasness that is already available with us. We have seen when you search engineer avatar from Google is one of the very prominent or big search engine, but it has that okay, if you say an engineer, this is male dominated kind of job, but it's not. We have men, female engineers. But if we keep training AI solution with that mindset, we end up generating biased solutions that could not include some of the groups. And we have just spoken these from males, female perspective, but we still have many other groups within the community. How do we make sure that solutions that we are developing can cut across around this biasness? So as I went up, I think it's very important to move from bias-based AI solution to have, maybe we could call gender-responsive kind of solutions. And when we mean gender, it's beyond female and males. It should go to even including people with disabilities. Does AI speak our language? What about language inclusion? If you want to see how AI is confusing, I know Guruma is recording this discussion, and sometimes it can generate maybe some notes out of this. So if we switch to Swahili, which is spoken over 5 million users global, Zoom AI system could not understand Swahili. It will always skip when I switch to Swahili. It will not give correct text on that. So I think it's important to make sure that AI solutions can speak our language. And it's not only about languages, because we understand languages scales culture. Languages scale traditions. Languages scales norms. So it is important that when we develop these solutions, they should also understand our language. And that's very important. And that can only happen when we embrace multi-stakeholderism as a way to develop AI solution. And that's why the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Multidisciplinary Solutions in Africa push for bottom-up solutions where every citizen is part of the development process. It's not a matter of saying we as engineers, no. We really need to have AI solution that can speak our language, that can address our challenges, that can preserve our culture. And that's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a lot. On behalf of TZNC and Eduinx, I sincerely thank all our speakers for accepting our invitation and for taking their time to share their knowledge and experience with us. Once again, thank you so much, and we look forward for a long-term engagement and more fruitful discussion. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam. Thanks.